So we have some major news on a top Yankees prospect. Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. So the Yankees took 3 out of 4 from the Royals. It's fantastic. They lost on a walk-off last night to the Royals, but it happens. 3 out of 4. It's another series won by the team. Now they're in Fenway to face the Boston Red Sox. After that, they come back home to face the Baltimore Orioles, and then they have the Braves. So it's not going to get any easier for the next week. So, buckle up, gang. This is going to be a fun ride. I'll have the lineup later on when it comes out with Boston, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. If you like daily lineups, you want to know who's batting, who's pitching, and so on and so forth, I put it out every day, okay? And hit the notification bell, too. That way when I go live after a game, and I go live after almost all games, you can join the party. You can join the live stream. You can join the conversation. I'd love to have you, okay? And your support means the world. We're knocking on the door. We're about 50 subs away from 21K. So your support means the world, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, have some major news. The top prospect, Everson Pereira, is just announced to have he needs Tommy John surgery. So he's going to miss the rest of the season and a chunk of next season. Now, when an offensive player gets Tommy John, they don't have the same timetable as a pitcher does. Tommy John. Generally, a pitcher is about 12 to 18 months turnaround time to come back from Tommy John and then have to build from there. Position players like Bryce Harper and the rest of them, you're looking at probably 6 to 9 months. But he's definitely going to miss the rest of the season and a good chunk of next season as well. So it's a devastating blow. I was hoping that the Yankees would have moved him in a trade for a team that needs an outfielder, because the Yankees outfield is stacked. And we also have Jason Dominguez. You have Spencer Jones. You have these other guys who are still knocking on the door too. So unfortunately, it was probably not a spot for him. And again, he's like that spot between AAA and the majors right now in terms of production. So I hate to hear it. I'm sorry to report it, but he does need TJ. So, and let's hope he comes back with a full and speedy recovery, just like Bryce Harper did, just like some of these other players who got Tommy John that aren't pitchers had. So, and now the Yankees are, speaking of the trade deadline, we'll get more active with videos and stuff like that. I'm working on trade deadline best fits for players, for teams, all teams and players, Yankees especially, obviously. I'm going to do my trade deadline predictions, my Yankees trade deadline predictions, and so on. And we know now that the Yankees are clearly looking to add to the bullpen. That's obvious, right? So I don't think they're going to add to the rotation. They have Garrett Cole coming back. There is nothing that could be better than that. Nothing. So, but in terms of adding, it could be adding around the margins. Bullpen, maybe a corner infielder or something like that. So that still remains to be seen. But bullpen is definitely an area of need for them that they're looking to fortify. And there's been a lot of sentiments. And yeah, Holmes did cough up the loss last night to the Royals. Surprisingly good Royals, but I was surprised at how easily the Yankees dispatched them the first 3 games. It just goes to show how good this team really is. So, with that said, there's been some names that have been floated, right? As people, Yankees looking for a reliever and blah, blah, or a closer. Okay? My thing is, let's compliment Clay Holmes. We do not need to replace him. Okay? We need to add to this bullpen, not create an uproar. Okay? Sentiments aside, let's stick with the facts here, okay? Let's bring some guys like Edwin Diaz. He's back with the Mets now. He's 2-1 with a 5.14 ERA, 31 Ks in 21 innings. Okay. Mason Miller, one of the harder throwing relievers. He's 1-1 with a 2.40 ERA, 55 Ks in 30 innings. So he's clearly a strikeout pitcher. And then we talk about Ryan Helsley, too, from the Cardinals, right? He is 2-3 with a 2.70 ERA, 33 Ks in 30 innings. So some pretty robust numbers here. But now let's look at Clay Holmes. It's 1-2 with a 1.80 ERA. 30 strikeouts, 29 Ks. So his strikeouts are in line with everybody except for Mason Miller. But his stats otherwise than that are superior to theirs in most categories. So why are people looking to replace him? Complimenting him makes so much more sense to this bullpen, right? Let's add. There are some expendable guys, but I didn't think Mike Tonkin would be this good, but he's phenomenal right now. He's getting it done. So 2 weeks ago, people wanted him thrown to the Wolves. Now they're loving him. That's the way that it is. That's how it is in New York, right? So, but there's some other folks, like Caleb Ferguson. I think he's an impending free agent, so he's going to be expendable. Maybe Victor Gonzalez, but I think he's got 3 controllable years left. So my guess is he'd probably stay. There's a couple other relievers who could probably be expendable here and there. Okay, so I would look for the Yankees to add maybe one, maybe 2 relievers. Maybe a righty, maybe a lefty. A righty, maybe who could represent the more of a strikeout type pitcher, and a lefty who could represent the crafty guy who could put the ball in play, keep the ball on the ground. Right. That's what I would look for them to add. And if they can add a bat on the margins, okay. They can add a productive third baseman, great. Okay, they have some flexibility to do that, and they do have players and prospects that they could trade out that are blocked by major leaguers anyway. So, but anywhere they can upgrade at an offensive position might make sense. Like I said before, I would not be looking to replace Rizzo. I would move on from him after this year, but I want to keep him from this year. And even if they call up Ben Rice, there's no better mentor to Ben Rice than Anthony Rizzo. So I want to keep him here the rest of this year. And his defense is elite. His bat clearly has taken a step back, 2 steps back, as has DJ's. We get that. So, but these guys are all aging players too. DJ's 35. I think Rizzo might be 35. So, and again, Rizzo has a team option after this year that does not need to be exercised by the team. If they get up a guy like Ben Rice or Augustin Ramirez or bring in a first baseman, they could change the scenario. But there is no need to go out and acquire Paul Goldschmidt. No need to go out and acquire Pete Alonso, right? Josh Bell. Like, Josh Bell's a solid player. He's a good contact hitter, but is he represented that much of an upgrade over Anthony Rizzo and a Ben Rice? Don't know. Ben Rice is tearing the cover off the ball, as is Augustin Ramirez. You know, they're ready for the next step up. So it might be worth doing that, and you can do it on the cheap instead of having to add millions to the payroll. Like, we're going to add millions to the payroll. Let's do it in an area where the position is worthy of an upgrade and the position can actually make a difference. Like, if we add to the bullpen, we know it's going to make an impact. If we upgrade a third base, we know it's going to make an impact. We don't have a mainstay at third base right now. We don't. So I expect the Yankees to draft probably a corner infielder, maybe in the first or second round of the draft this year. In terms of their farm, they're light on the corner infields. They are super heavy in the middle infield. Look at that. If you look at this, they're just, from Jorbit Vivas to who else we have here? A bunch of them. Jorbit Vivas, Caleb Ferguson. No, sorry. Caleb Durbin, Jared Cerna, George Lombard, Roderick Arias. They're all middle infielders. Maybe somebody like George Lombard could position to a third baseman because of his strong arm, but he's still 2 or 3 years away. That's why getting a third baseman with a couple of years in his contract left would make an easier transition point to a guy like Arias or a guy like Lombard. They can bring them up when they're ready instead of having to throw them for the Wolves. But again, if the Yankees are, they're in a prime position to potentially get to the World Series. So they want to improve everywhere they can right now at the major league level. And where can they do that? Bullpen, corner infield. Where else are they going to improve? Significantly, that's going to make a difference. You can move Gleyber Torres, but what are you going to get for him? You're not going to get prospects or pitchers back unless, Brian Cashman can pull a Joey Gallo type trade where you got Clayton Beeter back. And his bat has heated up, Gleyber Torres. His bat's gotten, starting to wake up, but is it too far removed from potentially staying to be getting qualifying offer? I think so. But that being said, if you're going to move them, you got to replace them with the right piece. And that piece has to help with the team chemistry, has to help with their offensive production and their defense. It's got to be a better defensive player. This is where Brian Gleyber Torres has been deficient. So these are the areas, and we're going to talk about this more at the trade deadline, discussions. And I want to have a roundtable with all my fellow content creators so we can plan and plot our trade deadline for the Yankees. So stay tuned, gang. I don't want you to miss